Now we incorporate fingers and it sounds like this. So you hear that doo, 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 doo. Little jaws. Commanding our doubles. It is not as complicated as one may think. I recently did a clinic not too long ago, and there was this gentleman who was in his late 50s. He said, man, I've never been able to learn double strokes. And I was like, what? Wait a minute, I got you. Let's do this. And what he was believing was that he needed to bring the stick down and control the second bounce, like this. And in his mind, when I asked him to demonstrate, he was coming to the pad like this. And I was just like, sir, may I offer this advice to you? And he was like, please do so. And I said, instead of concentrating of controlling the second bounce, there is no second bounce. Think of it that way. You're actually purposely playing both strokes. And he's like, what? And he goes, first we have to come with the approach of full wrist control. Then when we start getting into free stroke, when we start understanding the fulcrum, that it can be either on the index finger or on the middle finger. And that's what the free stroke allows us to do. First, let's have command of the wrist. And I know this is something that maybe doesn't get talked about much. I'm just passing on the way I know I've practiced things, how I've come to learn things, and I just want to pass this along. If we concentrate on our wrist motion, whether you're playing German grip, American grip, which is in between, this doesn't really apply for French grip. For French grip is mainly all the fingers right here in the middle. But the American grip is like this halfway. It's between German and French, okay? It's like right here. And I love the American grip because from one position, I have access to my fingers. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I was in German grip, which is straight palm down, okay? And I used my fingers, just my fingers, look at the motion of the sticks. Okay, that's that. I'm not doing it. I'm just straight German grip right here. Motion of the sticks, finger usage. Doesn't work, okay? That is straight up basketball status right here. German grip is all this. Fingers, oh, nope, not hitting the pad. French grip is just fingers. If I was to use my wrist in French grip, look at the sticks, okay? But now, if I angle my hands while I'm in the American grip, not only do I have wrist, but from the same position, I have fingers. All right, and you know, you guys know that exercise from German to French, where you're like, okay? I'm just concentrating on the American grip. What we want to do is we want to make every note with using just our wrists, all right? And what we want to do to have a more well-rounded double stroke is concentrate on the second note. But we're intentionally playing that, all right? We're intentionally playing both notes at all times. So just wrist action, no fingers. We're going right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And we're just wanting to get solid hits just using our wrists, okay? And being able to play this at a fairly good tempo. Notice I'm not using a metronome, because what we're doing is we're concentrating on form. Do I have a relaxed stroke that when I bring my wrist down, I'm making a good contact and my stick is not staying buried on the practice pad? My strokes are not like this, okay? And I'm not playing a weak one because I'm concentrating now. I'm just wanting to bring the stroke up, that my strokes sound like this. Okay? No, we're wanting steady strokes. And then once we hit, okay, that stick is coming up. This avoids us, when we're playing on the snare drum, absorbing all of that force that will travel back up our arm. And this guy right here is going to start feeling all of it, all right? If you start feeling pain at the elbow, you're digging into the drum. So what we want is we want nice strokes where we're allowing that stick to come up on both hands, okay? And if you want, you know how they talk about the flam when one goes down, the other one goes up, you know, like this, okay? Then practice that. Stroke, stroke, up, stroke, up, stroke, up, stroke, up. So you can get that stick out the way, okay? And you know you're not burying it because you're giving it time to take a look. All right, my stick is not buried. It's back up here. Think of it in eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We're not concentrating on a metronome right now. We're concentrating on form. Once we feel relaxed and we feel we have the form down, then we go to a metronome to hold us accountable on the consistency of that form, okay? So the double stroke. By me accenting the second note instead of the first one, it allows me to have a full sound. So if I was to just play the first note and then just tap the second, that's what that would sound like. But if I accented the second note of the double stroke, now you have a much more rounded double stroke roll and thicker sounding. And all this was played just with my wrist. I controlled every single stroke. I did not use fingers, okay? That was all wrist. Okay? What is the exercise here? Well, the exercise literally is just concentrating on that second note. So tap, the stick is up. Now I'm bringing in that accent. Well, Lou, how are you pulling that accent out? My wrist does this in motion, okay? I've heard the term used dip, like a dip, like you're just bringing the wrist down, but you're bringing it back up because you got to make that next stroke, okay? So it's see that? I'm not hitting the head. So this is a poor, all I'm hitting is rim, okay? I went down too far. So it's like this in motion and back, kind of like, this isn't a molar, but it's already leaning towards that motion of a molar, okay? Where it's like a whip, okay? You're just bringing that wrist in, but we're not using our elbow to get that motion in. We're just dipping the wrist a little bit so our stick meets rim and head at the same time, okay? Now, this right here, if you notice, the accents were consistent. Although you heard two notes, you were hearing this steady dot, 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 dot. And those were the accents making that quarter note feel while 16th notes were being played. Now we incorporate fingers and it sounds like this. So you hear that doot, 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 doot. Like little jaws. So that is where we get into push-pull, okay? Because now we're pulling that second note up. But first, I just want you to get relaxed with being able to concentrate just on your wrist. Now, you should be able to play just with wrists various rudiments. Like you can play drag. Okay, you can play flam taps. At a fair tempo. That's all wrist, okay? And then 5-stroke roll. What else? Paradiddle, obviously. That's all wrist, okay? And then getting comfortable with just those rudiments, playing up to a point where you're like, fingers need to get kicked in. You should be able to be musical just with wrists. All right, that's all wrist. There's no fingers in there. Trust me. All right. So, take care. God bless. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye-bye.